Is this transformation even possible?
Sometimes I wonder if we really have a clear vision of the final outcome.
A lot of different things to consider. I mean, one of them is, people. Do we have the right people on the ground to do this?
Will the change be sustainable? That's what I want to know.
Wonder how this is going to translate into real dollars.
It comes down to, will the consultants deliver the value?
I didn't get home last night until 10 o'clock. I mean, we're already working hard. How much better can we possibly be?
Well, when we roll this out to the front lines, what resistance will we face?
We've gone through change programs before. How's this one going to be any different?
I like to listen. I like to listen to what people are saying. I like to observe things literally in the pit, in the mine itself. Really understand what's going on behind the curtain.
We're in there interacting with every element of that organization, from the welders or mechanics on the front line all the way up to the board of directors.
As a physician, I was able to really get to understand their challenges, and not only the change, but how could they be part of it? And I think it really eased their fears. And a lot of them would say to me, some of them gave me a hug, but they would say, we're so glad that you're part of this because we think that you bring a unique perspective to the table and that you're a voice for us in this process.
In some of the most successful engagements I've seen, you can't even tell the difference between a McKinsey team member and one of our clients because we're working that cohesively together.
Whenever we start a new project with a client, we always have targets. And the cool thing is I can actually think of 2 examples where we went in and the cost target set was something that no one believed. But in both cases, we not only met the goal on the timeline agreed to, we blew it out of the water.
We were able to reduce contractor spend by 30%, and it was a savings of nearly $100 million.
We aimed to get the profitability of certain product categories higher by about 10%. We saw upwards of $50 million, which was almost double the target that we expected.
In my last engagement in banking, we saw significant impact. We were working on a sales transformation, and within the first few weeks, we hit the client's 18-month goal. And with the engagement of the frontline staff, we ended up doubling it.
We've seen a 19% jump in production. We've set production records, I think, 40 days out of the last 120 that we've been there.
What we did is partnered with our digital labs team to create an innovative suite of pricing and contracting tools. So we drove $30 to $50 million in gross profit to the bottom line. At the same time, we were able to shorten the deal processing time from 3 weeks to just under 1 hour.
It was a large construction merger. And so within that 60 days, we took them from being well behind schedule to having everything lined up, a great plan in place, doubled their synergies that they were actually expecting, and put them on the road for a successful integration going forward.
One thing intriguing about the engagements is they often have a common purpose and a genuine cause. For instance, the engagement I'm on now is a company that's in bankruptcy. The end goal is obviously to save the company, which then in turn saves some jobs, which then in turn helps save some communities.
I think the bottom line impact's really great, but what was more fun was to see the individual sales reps respond to their increased commissions checks. I remember walking through the center one day and having a young rep rip his headset off and yell, "Greg, I'm crushing it."
I work with a lot of clients where change is not a part of their DNA, and changing mindsets and changing culture is not an overnight thing. We need to use many different tools and many different ways of approaching that change to really see the benefits.
An individual needs to feel like the work that they're doing on a daily basis matters, not only to the group that they're in, but to the organization as a whole.
We help leaders at every level of an organization put the reason for change in their own words. When they deliver it, it's really impactful to the people that they're leading, and it's also really inspiring to watch.
Cultural change isn't easy. We have to stay united, and we have to keep our eyes on the long-term objective. And it's a journey, and it's going to take time.
Delivering strong strategies is something that we've done very well for a very long time. But my role as an implementation coach is to make sure that that strategy is sustainable.
We start thinking about sustainability from the time we start an engagement, oftentimes before we start an engagement.
One of the first things we're looking for is who are the client's change agents that we can bring onto the bus, that we can work with quickly work alongside them so we can do deep analytics together, we can role model the right behaviors together, so that we have a sense that when we start to disengage from that area of the work, there's client capacity and capability already in place to continue pushing that piece.
It's not necessarily changing everything completely at the client, but just enhancing what they already have.
One time recently when I really saw this, working with a pharmaceutical company doing an operations transformation, and people were scared as we started to work with them and as we started to really draw from them. The people started to really get involved because they realized that they were raising issues that were getting solved so much faster, and it was making their job so much easier, and we were able to really just step back. I think part of this job is kind of working yourself out of a job with the client.
It's fantastic to hear our clients say, we're never going back to the old way.